The council's response was subdued. While some members expressed gratitude, others, including Talion, remained wary. Marcus understood their hesitation. Centuries of prejudice wouldn't dissolve overnight. But he also saw a shift, subtle but undeniable, in the way they looked at him. It wasn't acceptance, not yet, but it was a step closer to recognition, a seed of possibility that might one day grow into trust. As the king's recovery began, Marcus turned his attention to ensuring the treatment's long-term effectiveness. He collaborated with the council to develop protocols for monitoring the king's progress, sharing his insights in a way that emphasized mutual learning rather than superiority. The work was grueling, the hours unrelenting, but Marcus embraced it with the same tenacity that had brought him this far. Each day was a reminder of the challenges they still faced, but also of the potential for something greater. A future where collaboration transcended the barriers of species and prejudice. The initial success of the treatment marked a turning point, but it was clear that the journey was far from over. While the king's condition had stabilized, his recovery remained precarious. The medical council, still divided in their opinions of Marcus's methods, watched his every move with a mixture of wariness and reluctant respect. The king's survival had shifted the narrative slightly, but centuries of mistrust and prejudice couldn't be undone by a single act of ingenuity. Marcus knew he had to tread carefully to solidify the progress they had made, both medically and diplomatically. The king's recovery process revealed the long-term complexities of his condition. The compound had corrected the enzyme imbalance and addressed the immune dysregulation, but it became apparent that the prolonged illness had weakened his overall physiology. Marcus proposed a detailed rehabilitation plan, combining physical therapy with nutritional adjustments tailored to the king's unique biology. This approach was unorthodox for the Xylaris, who relied heavily on technology for recovery, often overlooking the holistic aspects of healing. Marcus's plan initially met resistance, but as the king began showing gradual improvement, his methods gained a tentative following among some members of the council. The political implications of the king's recovery began to ripple through Xylari society. Word of Marcus's involvement spread beyond the medical facility, and the reaction was polarizing. Some viewed his actions as a testament to humanity's potential for positive contributions to the interstellar community, while others saw it as a dangerous precedent, a human meddling in the affairs of a superior species. Marcus found himself at the center of a larger debate, one that extended far beyond the confines of the medical council. Despite the ongoing skepticism, Marcus remained focused on his work. He collaborated with a select group of Xylari physicians who had grown to respect his expertise, sharing insights and techniques that bridged the gap between their vastly different medical philosophies. This collaboration led to unexpected innovations, as the fusion of human adaptability and Xylari precision produced solutions neither could have achieved alone. These breakthroughs, though small in scale, began to shift the dynamics within the council, fostering a grudging acknowledgement of Marcus's contributions. As the king's health improved, he regained the strength to engage in brief conversations. During one such exchange, he expressed his gratitude to Marcus, acknowledging the courage and determination it took to challenge the conventions of an entire society. The king's words carried weight, not only because of his status, but because they highlighted a truth that many in the council were unwilling to admit, that progress often required confronting uncomfortable truths and embracing change. The king's endorsement of Marcus had a ripple effect, encouraging more members of the council to support his initiatives. However, not everyone was swayed. Talion remained a vocal critic, insisting that Marcus's methods were a temporary fix and that reliance on human innovation would ultimately weaken Xylari's sovereignty. This opposition, while frustrating, served as a reminder of the deep-seated biases Marcus was up against. He chose to focus on the progress they had made rather than the resistance that remained. The culmination of Marcus's efforts came when the king, now strong enough to address his people, delivered a public message acknowledging the collaborative efforts that had saved his life. He spoke of unity and the importance of looking beyond prejudices to build a future where the strengths of different species could complement each other. The speech was a watershed moment, sparking widespread debate across Xylory society. While not everyone embraced the king's message, it marked the beginning of a broader conversation about the value of interspecies collaboration. For Marcus, the journey was both a personal and professional triumph. He had arrived on Xyloron as an outsider, viewed with suspicion and hostility. Yet he had managed to carve out a place for himself through sheer determination and unwavering commitment to his principles. His success wasn't just about saving the king. It was about proving that humanity had something valuable to offer, even in the face of overwhelming prejudice. The experience also transformed Marcus in ways he hadn't anticipated. The challenges he faced forced him to confront his own assumptions and adapt to a world that operated on principles vastly different from those he was accustomed to. He learned to navigate the delicate balance between persistence and humility, understanding that earning trust required not only expertise, but also a willingness to listen and learn. As the king continued to recover, Marcus began preparing for his eventual departure from Xyloron. While his work there had been groundbreaking, he knew that his presence would always be a source of contention. His goal wasn't to linger, but to leave behind a foundation for continued collaboration. He worked closely with the council to establish protocols for integrating human medical techniques into Xylory practice, ensuring that the progress they had made wouldn't be lost after he was gone. The final days of his assignment were marked by a mixture of relief and reflection. Marcus had achieved what many thought impossible, but he was acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead for both humans and Xylaris. The path to true unity was long and fraught with obstacles, but he took solace in the knowledge that he had helped take the first step. The experience had shown him the power of resilience and the importance of forging connections, even in the face of overwhelming odds. As he prepared to leave, the king summoned him for a private audience. The conversation was brief, but profound. The king thanked Marcus not only for saving his life, but for challenging the Xylory people to rethink their place in the galaxy. He expressed hope that their collaboration would serve as a model for future generations, a testament to what could be achieved when species set aside their differences and work together toward a common goal. Their conversations became a nightly ritual, a small comfort in the uncertainty of their situation. Through these exchanges, they began to understand each other's perspectives, shaped by vastly different but equally painful experiences. She revealed more about her people's traditions, their connection to the natural elements, and their art. He shared stories of the diverse worlds he had encountered, his voice tinged with both wonder and regret. Together, they pieced together a mosaic of understanding, each fragment adding depth to their growing bond. There were moments of tension, of course. Her skepticism didn't vanish overnight, nor did his patience remain endless. They clashed over decisions, over priorities, over their vastly different approaches to survival. Yet, these conflicts didn't drive them apart. Instead, they forced them to confront their differences and find common ground. Each argument, though frustrating, became an opportunity to learn more about one another. As the days turned into weeks, a subtle but undeniable shift occurred. She began to contribute more actively to their survival, using her knowledge of the natural world to find food and navigate their surroundings. He, in turn, taught her skills that would help them evade capture, sharing the practical knowledge he had acquired over years of living on the fringes. Their partnership, once tentative and one-sided, grew into something balanced and mutually supportive. There was a moment when she surprised him, offering a gesture of kindness that caught him off guard. It wasn't grand or elaborate, but it carried meaning. It was her way of acknowledging his efforts, of saying thank you without words. He accepted it with quiet gratitude, understanding its significance. For her, it was a step toward reclaiming her agency, a reminder that she was more than a victim of circumstance. Over time, trust began to replace suspicion, and familiarity replaced caution. Their interactions, once stilted and guarded, became more natural, more fluid. They found themselves laughing at shared jokes, exchanging stories with genuine interest, and working together with a rhythm that felt almost instinctive. What had started as a fragile alliance grew into something stronger, something that neither of them could have anticipated. For her, it was a slow realization that she no longer saw him as just another human. He was different, not because he had saved her, but because he treated her as an equal. For him, it was the recognition of her strength and resilience, qualities that inspired admiration and respect. They were no longer two strangers bound by circumstance, but partners who had chosen to stand by each other. The bond between them wasn't built on grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It was forged in the quiet moments, in the shared silences and the small acts of kindness that spoke louder than words. It was a bond that neither of them had sought but both had come to value. In the vast, indifferent galaxy, they had found something rare and precious, a connection that gave them both a reason to hope the transformation in their relationship was gradual yet undeniable. The tentative understanding that had once defined their connection gave way to something deeper. What began as an alliance of necessity evolved into a partnership forged by shared experiences and mutual respect. The alien woman, once wary and distant, now carried herself with a confidence that had been rekindled through their journey together. The human, who had once seen himself as merely a protector, now found himself relying on her strength and insights as much as she relied on his. Their time together revealed a profound compatibility neither had anticipated. He admired her resilience, the way she adapted to their ever-changing circumstances with a quiet determination. She, in turn, came to respect his unwavering moral compass, his willingness to risk everything for what he believed was right. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, built not on grand proclamations, but on the small, unspoken gestures of care and understanding that defined their interactions. As their relationship deepened, so too did the challenges they faced. The galaxy was not a forgiving place for those who dared to defy its rigid hierarchies and deeply ingrained prejudices. Their bond was an anomaly, a defiance of societal norms that invited scrutiny and backlash from both human and alien factions. Whispers of their partnership spread, and with them came hostility from those who viewed their connection as a threat to the established order. The human's own people were among the first to react. His decision to rescue her had already put him on the radar of the authorities, but the revelation of their growing relationship escalated matters further. Accusations of betrayal and disloyalty were leveled against him, painting him as a renegade who had abandoned his own kind for an alien. The backlash was not limited to words. It manifested in tangible threats that forced them to remain constantly vigilant. For the alien woman, the challenges were equally severe. While she had begun to reclaim her sense of identity and agency, the reality of her situation remained stark. To many of her people, her association with a human, especially one who had been part of the system that oppressed them, was a bitter pill to swallow. Some saw her as a traitor, a symbol of the very subjugation they sought to escape. Others were more sympathetic, recognizing the unique circumstances that had brought them together. But their voices were often drowned out by the louder cries of dissent. Despite the external pressures, they remained steadfast in their commitment to one another. Their relationship was not without its struggles, but these challenges only served to strengthen their resolve. They learned to navigate the complexities of their respective cultures, finding ways to honor their differences while building a shared understanding. The alien woman introduced him to the traditions of her people, rituals, and practices that connected her to the heritage she refused to let go of. He, in turn, shared the stories and customs of his own kind, bridging the gap between their worlds. The culmination of their bond came in the form of a decision that neither took lightly. In the face of overwhelming odds, they chose to formalize their relationship in a way that honored both their cultures. It was not a decision driven by a desire to prove themselves to others, but rather a declaration of their shared values and commitment. The ceremony that followed was unlike anything either had ever experienced, a fusion of traditions that celebrated their individuality while symbolizing their unity. Their union was met with mixed reactions. To some, it was a beacon of hope, a testament to the possibility of reconciliation and understanding between disparate groups. To others, it was an affront, a challenge to the deeply entrenched divisions that defined the galaxy. The responses they received were as varied as the people they encountered, but they had long since learned to draw strength from each other rather than seeking validation from the outside world. In the aftermath of their union, they began to carve out a new life together, one defined not by the chaos of the galaxy, but by the choices they made for themselves. They sought a place where they could build a future free from the shadows of their pasts, a sanctuary where their bond could flourish without fear of interference. The journey to find such a place was not easy, but it was a journey they undertook willingly, driven by the belief that their connection was worth fighting for. Along the way, they became inadvertent symbols of resistance and hope. Their story resonated with those who had experienced similar struggles, inspiring others to question the divisions that had long been taken for granted. They did not seek to be leaders or icons, but their actions spoke louder than any words could. In their defiance of societal norms, they showed that the barriers separating individuals were not as insurmountable as they seemed. Their legacy was one of quiet courage and unwavering determination. They did not claim to have all the answers, nor did they pretend that their journey was without flaws or missteps. What they offered instead was a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, it was possible to choose compassion over fear, understanding over prejudice, and love over division. In the end, their story was not one of grand heroics or sweeping victories. It was a story of two individuals who refused to let the galaxy dictate the terms of their existence. They were not defined by the circumstances that had brought them together, but by the choices they made once they found each other. In a universe that often seemed cold and unyielding, their bond was a quiet yet powerful act of rebellion, a testament to the enduring strength of the human and alien spirit. Their journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long while, they faced the future with a sense of hope. Together, they had built something that no force in the galaxy could take away, a life forged in trust, respect, and love. And in doing so, they reminded themselves and those around them that even in the darkest of places, light could still find a way to shine.